How do we start it though? Just like that, hey? Hey, Daryl.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Daryl. Good to see you again. We're here. I don't know if anybody noticed or if you haven't watched our first episode yet, you can go back and see it. But when we were done
Yeah.
recording, Daryl had mentioned that it kind of looked like I might have looked like a kind of Disney character there with the way I had my discs set up. So in honor of that, I've come prepared with
There you
my
go.
R2D2 ears
That's
that I
all,
picked up.
that's almost perfect. Those
It
discs,
actually,
they look like they're just sitting on the shelf right now.
well, I'm not going to wear this the whole episode. I just thought you might get a kick out of that.
Okay.
Now, I know I threw this on you. We didn't discuss this. So put on your
Yeah.
thinking cap here and shoot some
Yeah.
holes in my idea.
The bit of a pause there was me taking a second to try and think the pros and the cons.
And all you can
I,
think of is how wonderful the idea is, right?
yeah, we'll end the episode there.
Yeah, no, no.
Or should I say, it could be partly my catchphrase? You know that I like your idea, but you're wrong.
Ouch.
I
So
don't
what?
know. I don't necessarily love the idea. I'm not going to say I hate it. I'm just
Okay.
trying to think why I don't like it. I
Hey,
think
everybody. Welcome to Chain Out, the disc golf podcast for Canada. Nope, I'm not doing that one. I got lost. I got lost.
I could
I,
feel you were like searching for words.
I'm like, I went way beyond the simple thing.
Yeah.
So we'll do it again. 5 seconds. It'll just be simpler. I think what it is I don't know what
Episode 3?
it's episode 3, but do I want to call it the Chain Out or Welcome to Chain Out podcast? Episode 3, I think.
Chain Out Podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Because that's how we've got it labeled. So.
Yeah.
With you. I'm Jeremy, and with me, as always, is Daryl.
Hello, everybody. How's it going, Jeremy?
Going well, Daryl. How about you? How you feeling, buddy?
I don't know. Can you tell? My voice is. I'm not. I got that bit of a sexy Barry White voice going on, I think.
Oh,
Or
you
just
say sexy Barry White. I was thinking maybe a little Phoebe Buffet smelly cat
baby.
voice there.
Yeah.
Podcasting energy that we've got is like a healing energy. That's what I'm going
There
to
you
say.
go. Yeah. Channeling my inner Phoebe Buffet.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thanks, everybody, and we'll see you on the next
Smelly
one.
cat,
Until
smelly
then. Till then, Smelly Cat says, chain out.
Chain out.
There for it. But for me, I think what the difference is that if I have an errant shot at Nor'Wester, I'm gonna hit a car. A car is pretty strong. It's gonna my disc is gonna bounce off it. If I have an errant shot at the hills and
I know
hit
where
a
you're
person, it's gonna bounce off them, but it could do a lot more damage hitting a person. And I feel that those tight
Right.
lines, I'd rather go onto a road and hit a car or hit a truck or something like that than hit an actual person. So that's what I'm gonna use as my deciding factor of why I'd prefer to play Nor'Wester. Plus, Nor'Wester's gonna have the longer distance, all the things that we
Right.
talked about than the hills. But one of those things is I'd rather hit a car than hit a person.
That's a fair.
Hey everyone, welcome to Chain Out Podcast. I'm Jeremy, and with me as always is your favorite co-host, Daryl.
Favorite co-host?
Why, thank you, Daryl and Jeremy. I'm so happy to be on Chain Out Podcast with you and glad that you were able to invite me. I'm really excited to tell you a lot about oh, I'm not the guest that you were expecting to have on the show tonight? How did you know?
That's the thing. So I had a huge mix, a
Yeah.
whole bunch of different brands, but then I hold a Comet, and then I hold a Buzz, and then I hold a Wasp, or I hold whatever. Name your EMAC Truth or whatever.
Yeah.
They all feel a little bit differently in your head. It's not the same disc, even
Yeah.
if it's virtually the same disc. If you hold an EMAC Truth and a Buzz SS or whatever
Yeah.
you consider to be the same as that, it's not gonna in your head it's not going to be the same disc. So
Yeah.
Right.
That's such an interesting way to look at it, Jeremy. I've never thought about that. I mean, I know I've spoken. Obviously, Tim said that at one point he had 7 Nate Sexton
Firebird.
Firebirds sit in his bag, and they kind of explain it. Yeah, obviously, the more beat in the disc gets, the more unstable it gets. So that's why they have that. But until Brendan just said it, then like not necessarily having the disc because it beats in, but just having it because it feels the same. You've got
Yes.
the same disc in your hand, you're throwing it, and that's kind of just has hit me there for a second. So it feels like I feel like I've just leveled up in my disc golf knowledge now. That's the reason for having multiple discs of the same, because of the feel.
yeah, like I'm not trying to get you to stop buying discs. I just want you to buy more of the exact same disc.
Yeah,
And then
there
if
you
it's
go.
wrong,
Yeah.
you just have to buy more of a different disc.
You want to hear something? I hear there's a secret word on the street. I don't know nothing. But I hear the secret word is horse feeder. But you didn't hear it from me. Yeah, no. So who knows what's going to happen in the spring and summer? Maybe we might go down to 1 every 2 weeks. Maybe we'll
Don't
the
talk
quality won't.
like that.
Who knows what's going to happen? I'm just preempted. I'm just kind of giving ourselves a barrier. What do they say? Under promise and over deliver.
Over deliver. I'm just
There you
going to
go.
over deliver all the time. You
Yeah,
like the
no, you.
weekly? We're giving you the weekly.
Yeah, you don't have to episode. All right, let's do it. What have you been up to? People don't want to hear our woes of editing. They just want the final product. And this is the final product. So what have you been up to?
It's easy for you to say, hey, yeah, I'm cool if women play. Oh, it's a women's event. I'm going to go out to this other course and play that weekend. Well, why wouldn't you just give that weekend up and support them?
That's
So,
such a good point.
I was thinking
Absolutely.
that same thing, Jeremy. Yeah.
Yeah.
like I know
Well,
It
Kristen
makes
Swirls
total sense
has
as well.
Kristen Swirls, I think, has an event coming up, right?
She's
How
up
many
first.
men-
She's up first.
Yeah.
She's up first. How many men are going to step up and spot? Like when I was in Cranbrook for Crush in 2022, we were flooded. Like the men were running the raffles, they were running the check-in, they were running, giving out, like passing the prizes to the tournament director, they were spotting. It was insane. Like we had so many men out there doing so many great things for the sport. It was just awesome to see the support. I had Crush here. We had guys coming out. We had families coming out. The moms were playing, and the sons and husbands were helping. And I think it's really important. It's very easy to say I'm okay with women playing. It's a little harder to give up your time to support women playing, and that's what speaks volumes. That's the true show of how much you really want them there. Does that? I guess.
Oh,
Yeah. No,
I'm not calling anybody
speaks
out in
volumes.
particular. I'm just saying from personal experience and noticing the necessity of needing men, especially, to walk the walk. Just don't talk the talk.
well,
I
Carrie,
feel like that was just a light bulb moment that you just
Mhm.
mentioned there, because when you were saying it, in my mind, I was thinking, well, it's a women's event, so they don't want that masculinity involved in it because they don't want, the men are here thinking that we can't look after the event. Like that was my mindset. But then when hearing you say that you want men involved because it shows that we're supporting, I looked at it from a different point of view, and I can understand now, actually we should be volunteering. And it's not like we're trying to take over. It's not like we're trying to say
Exactly.
you can't run your own event. We're not saying any of that. It's just being involved and doing whatever needs to be done, like you said, picking up litter, spotting, and anyway, anything that happens just to make the tournament run
Anything.
successfully.
And the best thing to do
Oh.
is just reach out to the female TD and say, I want to give up my weekend and help you out. What can I do?
Guess what, Jeremy?
what?
Now our listeners. Hey everybody, welcome to Around the Basket episode 30, which I'm not sure it's 30 because we jumped from 28 to 30. but we had a free fantasy or a fantasy episode in there.
Yeah.
So I figured we'd go 29, but you're counting fantasy episodes as Patreon episodes, so we're 30.
Yeah, so technically maybe it's not Around the Basket episodes, it's Patreon episodes.
Yeah.
So we're at the 30th Patreon episode.
Hey
which
everybody,
could
welcome
be-
to the 30th Patreon episode.
This time it is an Around the Basket, not a fantasy one. And what's the other one we've done
I'm the host.
with the most?
We've done Around the Basket.
Yeah.
We've done the fantasy episodes.
Is there any other?
I feel like there's a third
Oh,
one
well, we
we've
did
done.
some other different styles
Yeah.
of Around the Basket. But anyways,
I am the host with the most,
Yes,
Daryl. And this guy over here is also a host.
I am the co-host with the beer and a lot of cheer.
There you go. Jeremy, how you doing?
Jeremy, I'm doing great.
Did you just see the Chain Out episode? Episode 84?
Man, I never miss a chain out. Well, actually, I've only missed 3 chain out episodes. Other than that, but even those ones, I still tuned in either live or after the fact.
Yeah.
So
It was a great episode with it was an LTL larger than life recap, A-tier recap. Obviously, we cover all the A-tiers across Canada. Larger than life. We were lucky enough. I mean, like you said, he's becoming part of the furniture. I think I'm gonna have to just have his own button on my little controller now.
yeah,
We had Thomas Gilbert come on and recap from MPO side. He obviously took down the MPO win. If you want to go back and see or if you want to know how his tournament event went, and some of the battles that was happening and some of the Thomas lines, go back and watch episode 84. We also had Arlen Nickel.
yes, and I love that. That was an interesting change. We did an audible there, and Arlen was so kind. Like, we didn't give him a lot of notice,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what you get on Around the Basket. Is you get some behind the scenes and things that you might not know.
Yeah.
Is that we had some guests who couldn't make it, so we reached out to Arlen. We knew that he had gone up there. We'd recently talked to his partner Jerry Ann Brownbridge and had a great conversation with her.
Mm-hmm.
So Arlen came on. We got to talk to an MP40 in a head-to-head battle in a tournament, which I thought was cool. Like, what would you think about that?
Yeah, like he said, it's like when you normally go in an event. Was it what everybody's like? As long as I don't come last, like I'm aiming for middle of the pack. Maybe I'll push, wherever, as long as I don't come last. But being in a head-to-head battle, you're either first or last.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is he kind of carries 2 positions. He was last, but he was also second place.
There you go. He podiumed.
Yes.
He guaranteed a podium. Yeah.
How did podium get me last?
But like I say, you're not checking scorecards.
No.
You're just looking at the card you're on. You know how everyone's playing because you're playing against your opponent. So.
Yeah, that was the cool thing, right? And I know we always talk about we'll play to our ratings, and even when we did spring runoff, we both had a good event, but at the same time, we were well above our ratings. So who cares where we had placed?
Exactly.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
But the thing is, on every shot in every hole in a 2-person division, you know exactly where you stand.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to look at a scorecard. Even if you don't want to know, you still know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no getting away from it.
No, so that was it. That was a great episode. And as you mentioned with Thomas as well, the other thing I wanted to say was we've had some guest co-hosts on the show, but pretty soon he's just going to know our show as well as we do.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if we could ever get a guest pro
That would be
co-host
awesome.
where he's actually on the question side.
Yeah.
And then what do you think if you were, let's pretend you're,
Okay.
we're
I'm like, this is an after
great
show
idea.
conversation. Yeah. It's
but that's what this is Around the Basket is.
Yeah, I know.
But could you imagine we get on another Canadian pro, FPO, MPO, whoever it is, and we say, yeah, we might have a little surprise for you when we do the interview tonight, and it's Thomas asking questions to them.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. All right, Thomas, if you catch this one, we don't know. We know these ones are these are the cult following ones.
Yeah.
So some of this information, even though you said it's for after the show, sometimes it's for the select group, this Patreon group. So.
Exactly. That's fair.
But all right, keep this thing rolling.
Yeah. Well, do you want to give a shout out to our Patreon listeners and things like that? Do you want to tell everybody how everyone can listen?
Oh, yeah. So you can listen by signing up on our Patreon. We have a number of different levels. We have some ones where you can add a little money to the pot and help support this channel, which we appreciate. But we also have a free version too, so that you can always get the link to join us live. One of the things is that we've been growing slowly but surely. And you had a great time at Smith Lake Farms, and you had mentioned it last time that you had met a gentleman that has the nickname Graybeard.
Yeah.
And that's Chris Finlayson?
Chris Finlayson, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gave me this coaster, which I'm calling a coaster, but he says it's a mini.
Oh, you could use it for both.
Yeah. Great design, great logo. And he is our most recent Patreon subscriber. So we
Our-
appreciate it. Welcome here. Welcome along, Chris.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
31st member.
Yeah.
And he joined in at the top band, which is a way to support us, which is
Welcome.
fantastic. And we
Yeah.
appreciate that, Graybeard. And yeah, we hope you're enjoying the content so far. And you've got a whole catalog of episodes to go back on. Like, I always
Yeah.
wonder if someone joins us and says, hey, I like these guys, I want to hear a little bit more about them.
Yeah.
They got a long way. Was it Andrea Michaud who did that, where she joined
Well, yeah.
kind of midway through the first 40, or maybe at the 40th episode or something like that?
Somewhere. I don't even think it was that far in.
Maybe 30th episode,
Yeah.
25th.
But then she started working her way backwards down to 1. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like if someone was to jump in now, where would they? Would they just pick and choose the event, pick and choose the podcast they wanted to go back and
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good position to be in. That if you do want to go back and check out some of our older episodes, you've got a whole 83 other episodes to go back and pick. You can. Oh, I like Thomas. Oh yeah, he's been on 4 or 5 times. I'll
Mhm.
watch those episodes. You like the FPO? We've had Joe Henderson on. We've had Kristen Swirls. We've had what is her name?
Amber Chase on?
Amber Chase on. No, the
Yeah.
one that won Falcon's Flight
Who had won Falcon's Flight which time?
last year.
Wasn't Sophia Donica, you're not thinking?
No, Falcon's Flight. Brianne. It wasn't Brianne. Was it Brianne Ainsley that won it?
Oh, yeah. No, it was oh, look at us. This is how you can tell we're in our 40s, right? When we
There you
can't
go.
remember names. But
Yeah.
yeah. But also too, welcome to the chat there, Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan. Well, actually, Dylan says he goes a year back on YouTubers. I find.
Okay,
Wow.
there you go.
There
And
you
I
go.
wonder too, Dylan, while you're in there, and I want to maybe this is kind of something we can ask here too. So, Dylan, if somebody was going to join Chain Out Podcast for the first time, watch their first episode, if you were going to recommend an episode for them to go back and check out, maybe they
question.
saw this one, what one would you recommend?
We're gonna ask Dylan that while we wait for him to put his reply into
Let's
the chat.
put our answers.
What would you say?
Yeah. Okay. So my answer to this one, I was going to say, if you want to laugh, you could just watch one of our little compilation ones. But I think really early on, we would do pre-records. We weren't doing them live.
Mhm.
And because of the pre-records, we tended to crack up a lot. We were still
Can you
kind of
remember
figuring
those
things
days?
out. Yes.
When we would have to stop and like.
Well, we still have that. Sometimes when we do our outlines ahead of time, there's something in the outline that will make us laugh. And then we're done. We're done.
Right.
Right.
We've
Like,
got
because we
that.
know when we go live, that moment's going to come up.
Yeah.
And if one of us lets go.
And it is funny because I'm one of those people that if I cannot keep a straight face, if I'm gonna go, it's funny for me for like 20 minutes. Like I can't stop thinking about that funny thing, and it'll be just as funny to me every time.
Yeah.
But now I've gotten better that we kind of skirt over those little things, or sometimes maybe the listeners pick up on it or maybe they don't, but I will say something and I'll look at you because I know it's an inside joke, and we do tend to move on sometimes. We both know that was a little joke and move on, but Dylan says that's easy. He's got it picked out. The Canadian PDGA guy, that would be Brian Henniger.
Oh, yes, that's
Yeah.
right. And I think one of the great things about that one, and it's great you mentioned that, Dylan, because I was thinking it, we always talk about sometimes there were taglines and stuff, but that was just a fantastic interview.
Mhm.
But he gave us the Gaga crazy
Right.
line.
Yeah.
And we haven't used that one in a while, but no, that's definitely was a great episode.
Yeah.
So I would say I was going to tell you the one that we did for the first Christmas special where we recorded a Christmas and a New Year's.
Yeah.
And I showed up with that little elf on, and people don't know, but that little piece at the beginning, how long did that take us to film? How many times did we edit it and re-edit it?
A lot of the times back in the day, we would start with our cameras turned off because of the software that we were using. So I'd be talking to you and you'd be wearing a t-shirt and hat, whatever, and you'd say, okay, yeah, you ready? Okay, turn cameras off. And we'd go live, and then, or we would record, and then we would turn our cameras on, and then you would be dressed in a Hawaiian shirt with a bucket hat on, or you had this little elf hat and elf
Elf bag.
bag in front of you, which made you look like a little tiny one. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Dylan. Hi, Dina. Dina's in the chat as well. Dylan also brought up another one. There's Kevin Fodry,
yeah.
who quoted
Yeah,
little
local
Dink
Dink and
the
Dunk.
local Dink and Dunk. Yeah,
Well,
that was a great one.
I think Dylan was right behind that idea that if we were to get some custom gear made up, right, and we started to get, you'll see shirts with a slogan on the back. And he was saying, yeah, he could get behind that to have like local Dink and Dunk on the back, or
Yeah,
have
exactly.
Gaga Crazy, or
Yeah,
Horse
feeder.
Feeder. Yeah. And I don't know, Dina, when you with you joining us here, we hope if you played League tonight, you had a great night at League. We were just saying, is if someone was going to watch one episode of Chain Out Podcast, which one out of the ones that you've watched would you recommend? And Daryl, it's your turn.
I just thought of mine.
Okay.
It's one of the, we can uh, not downplaying anybody's episode in particular,
Okay.
but when we sit down with Thomas and Joe Henderson
Mhm.
and the TD for an event, like that's great that we get to talk to these pros across Canada and the people that put on these events, and where would we be without those people? But when I look back at an event that, or sorry, when I look back at an episode that was just, I don't know what it was about it, but it was maybe it was the interview that the person had so many great insights.
Okay.
But it was special for another reason. One of my ones I would say, if you want to go back and watch a good episode, go back and watch the Scott Stokely episode.
Oh, yes.
Because he, we're talking to a legend of disc golf, one of the early people, one that remembers playing Oak Grove,
Yeah.
can remember playing with discs that used to shatter when you threw them at trees,
Mhm.
can talk all the way about playing from the early days all through till today, that has done so much for the sport with his blue something. I
Sure.
forget what it is now. Is diversity
Mhm.
course and all that. The way that he puts on clinics and those sort of things. But the fact that when we were talking to him, that he had a black ace while playing around a disc golf, and the fact that he recorded it, that we recorded him recording it, and that somebody else was recording it from the tee behind.
Yeah.
So we have this black ace from 3 different perspectives, because you see our reaction to it, his reaction to it, and not just him holding his phone and looking at his face, but you can actually see him throw it and then holding the camera on his, holding his
Yes.
phone and running down the course. Like that was just that was a memorable episode for me.
Well, I love that episode too, and I'm wondering, I think we talked about it, but I don't know, did you ever do it? And if you did, I just don't remember. We had it as an idea. I thought it would be good to take his video if we could capture it one time
Yeah.
and put a side screen and just repost it, because it's always a cool thing to have up on and share it with people again, but have a side screen of us talking and have his video playing at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not sure
If
if
we
we
could
did that
manage
back
that.
in the day, because I'm unsure if that was Riverside, so I'm not sure if we had that ability.
Right.
So I may have already done it, or I may have posted his clip and then posted our
Posted
separate
ours.
it afterwards.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll have a look and see what I
Yeah,
can
we
do.
could always revisit it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and I think too, the other thing about the Scott Stokely one was, we were like, this is like a legend. We've had a number of legends, but that was one of those. We had Carrie Neal on before that, but then this was our next legend.
Yeah.
And when we did that, we still gave him an origin story, just like anybody else we
Yeah.
would. And I remember him having some interesting comment about it. Oh, he's like, I know that movie. It's my favorite movie. And it was like Beach Girls from number 7 or something like that.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah. So I guess that's a great way to start the Patreon episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the nice thing, is they can kind of go a little free. I had a topic that we could throw around a bit. I don't know
Yeah.
if you want to throw it around, but we had a nice topic show. We could even go to the quiz. It's kind of, you call it from this point. What do you think?
Well, you've got the topic in here, and I think it's a good. I mean, I'm up for debate on anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be a good topic for me to debate it.
Yeah.
If we've got something that you have an opinion on, you never know. We might actually agree together,
Okay.
or we might just be like, no.
Well, we've talked about this before, is that when we do these around the basket episodes, we
Okay.
found that we can get on a topic,
Yeah.
and we can probably run them a little long.
Okay.
So put the timer on for 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Let's go.
That's what we're going to do, and then we're going to move to the quiz.
Go for it.
So jump in the comments
Oh.
as well. Let us know what you think. So my question
Yeah.
to you is, have we reached tournament saturation?
Define tournament saturation.
Okay. So we've been in disc golf, not for as long as many people, but we've been in, this would be probably our 3rd or 4th year, depending what you count it as.
Yeah.
And coming out of COVID, tons of tournaments. It was hard to get into tournament. You couldn't get in it. You really had to sign up quick. And then last year, it felt like that. We had a lot of tournaments we played in. And there was a number of them. It's like, if you don't sign up soon, you're going to miss out.
Mm-hmm.
But then I've noticed this year that Falcon's Flight, for example, that is one of those staples that every year will fill up in seconds. Even the
8 minutes.
even the even the, what do you call it, the sponsorship hole signups, they filled up quickly. And then River City Cup, not so fast, but it did fill up.
Mm-hmm.
Edmonton Open, not so fast, pretty fast, but it did fill up. But then there's other events, like we had the Queer Disc Golf event over the weekend. We've got the Alberta Health event coming, our hospital event coming up.
Mhm.
We have those, and they're not filling up. Whereas the Queer Disc Golf event last year, boom, filled up very quickly. So I'm starting to wonder, there is any given weekend in Alberta, probably 3, 4, 5 tournaments you could go in. Have we reached too much? Is there too many tournaments out there? That's a really long-winded intro, but that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. If you give me 1 second, I'm just trying to
Do you value something?
get it back to my buttons. I would have to say, in answer to your,
West.
see, I'm taking 8 minutes just to get to the button. The thing's freezing up today.
We
I
just
think
do
I
it
don't
live.
think you're not comparing apples to apples.
Okay.
You're comparing an A tier Falcons Flight, 2 amazing courses,
Mm-hmm.
200 people.
But you're wrong.
There we go. 2 courses, 200 or so people, multiple divisions,
Mm-hmm.
2-day event or 3-day event or whatever. I think it's a 3-day event. Comparing it to a 1-day unsanctioned or a sanctioned C tier event in Edmonton.
Right.
Like, I don't think you can compare a Queer Disc Golf Chains for Change or an AHE fundraiser to Falcons Flight. Like, they're, one,
Right.
or Edmonton Open, even, even though that's a kind of a local course as well, or a local event, they're just not on the same level. Falcons Flight and TCO, or maybe not TCO, but like the bigger events are gonna sell out fast
Mm.
because everybody wants to go to them because they have so much of a draw.
So instead of, like, in this case, I'm just saying a tournament, but what you're differentiating is the fact that a sanctioned A tier tournament versus an unsanctioned or a sanctioned C tier tournament, or a more of a recreational event, it's unfair for me to expect them both to fill up in the same amount of time.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's a fair comment on that. But I guess what I was trying to do the correlation was that it didn't feel like that was the case last year. Did you feel that any tournaments were struggling to get players in the last 2 years that you've been in the disc golf scene,
I mean,
or at least in the Alberta area?
looking at the events that we played last year, we sponsored a hole at River City. I can't remember if that guaranteed us
Mm-hmm.
entry into the event. I know it did with Falcons Flight, and that
It
was
did
why
with River City.
one of us. Okay, well then, yeah. So we sponsored events so that we knew that one of us would get in,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one would have to be quick on the draw to get, to get into the event.
We did Wally's 100. That filled up. I know that was a different kind of tournament because it was,
Yeah.
a memorable must-go-to tournament.
I don't necessarily think, but then again, you look at the other events, Lethbridge, the spring runoff. That wasn't an A tier last year.
But that's a great example because last year it did fill up. It was pretty much
Well,
more players than it did this year.
so okay, now let's clarify. Are
Mhm.
you saying that the events don't fill up, or they don't fill up fast?
I'm saying that they're not filling up, and part of that is they don't fill up as fast, because if they don't fill up,
Right.
then they didn't fill up fast either. Right? It just
Right.
one
The
leads
whole
to the other.
Eagle.
Yeah. Which one's worth more?
I don't know. I don't necessarily. I think, what are you trying to say, that there is too many events on any given weekend, therefore players have more choice, and that's why they're not filling up?
Yeah,
Because I think I don't necessarily agree with that as well, because people that are signing up for Falcons Flight aren't looking and saying, well, what other event is happening that weekend? Like, they're gonna sign up for that event regardless of what other event is happening that weekend.
right.
When it comes down to a local B tier or C tier, then maybe people will be like, well, is there an A tier happening? Is there another tournament that I haven't played yet? I'll go and do that one instead.
Right.
Whereas, regardless of what's happening during BCO, people are going to go and want to play Raptors Knoll because
Yeah.
everybody knows Raptors Knoll is a great event. Even if it wasn't the Canadian Championships, even if it was the Innova Rip, people would want to go because they want to go and play Hope Goat, and they know that they're going to have a great time at that event.
Well, it's fair, but I'm looking at it was last year I played 12. Well, no, what did I play? I played 9 sanctioned events.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I'm guessing with the Alberta Hospital, the Berg tournament, whatever it was, another 2 to 3 non-sanctioned events, maybe a doubles tournament event or something like that.
Right.
So that was about 12. But for me in my life, I would love to play every weekend. But in order to strike a balance, as everyone kind of needs to, unless you have a unique set of circumstances, that was too many tournaments. So this year I'm not going to play that many. So if most you're going to get out of me is say 6 or 7 this year, do you think that's what the average amount of tournaments a person will play in a year? Or what do you think the average, like a PDGA, an active PDGA member, because we could talk about,
And we're talking amateurs, right? We're not
Yeah.
talking pros. We're talking
no,
amateurs.
because Thomas, that's his job.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's,
So
part of it.
we're talking MA1 to MA50,
Yeah.
60 or whatever or
Whatever,
FP,
MA80 for
FA,
that matter.
yeah.
But if you have a PDGA member or membership and you like to play tournaments, what is the average amount of tournaments a player is playing? I'm going to say right now this year I might get to 8 events, maybe.
See, now I think we're also province specific as well.
Which is
Because
okay.
somebody in Saskatchewan might want to play a lot of tournaments, but maybe there's not enough tournaments being run every weekend. Whereas it seems like
Okay, let's keep it to Alberta.
Okay, and just in Alberta, so we're ignoring everybody else.
Yeah, well, we're other people. I don't want to get it too off of the core of the conversation.
I don't think. Yeah, but you're including your 12 or 9 sanctioned events. How many of them were just Alberta only?
Last year,
probably 4, 5.
All of them. Where did I play outside of Alberta? I didn't go to TCO last year. Oh, the only one was Nationals, Clearwater.
Right.
Yeah. So 8 of those were in Alberta, and then the 3 unsanctioned events were in Alberta. But again, like how many tournaments in a year?
If you just wanted to stay in Alberta and you wanted to play, what was your question?
Yeah, exactly. Let's get back to it. The timer's going to run out. We're not even going to get anywhere.
Right.
But the question was, on average, how many events in a year
do people play?
Do you think people would compete in? People who do have that they do. What do you think the average amount is? And then I'll tell you why I want to know that number.
Okay. If they're just staying in Alberta, I would say they would play 5 events.
Right. So 5 events is 5 weekends, and the disc golf season, as we know, can be 12 months long, 52 weeks, but it's not in Alberta. If we're using that, we know it starts kind of in May, it ends probably in October, May, June, July, August, September, October. So we're talking 6 months, 24. So you got 24 weeks in Alberta, and we're going to play like 5 tournaments, and you've got one every single weekend, but you've got multiples because you've got Edmonton, you've got Grand Prairie, Fort McMurray, Calgary, Lethbridge, and South. And that's where I'm thinking there's just probably more tournaments than the group of Edmonton or Alberta players and visiting players can play. And it's actually making an impact on the events, where if we could start to maybe consolidate events and say, one idea, and I know these aren't great ideas, but it's an idea, is that maybe Northern Alberta, you've got the odd weekends. Right. And Southern Alberta, you've got the even weekends, and we don't allow sanctioned events to be on those other days. They could be unsanctioned, but not sanctioned events, putting some more emphasis and excitement into heading to those events. And if somebody wanted to go to multiple events, they know they wouldn't be missing one. They'd be able to go to the one in the other area, as opposed to having them compete against each other.
I value your opinion, but you're wrong.
That's a terrible idea.
Really?
Yes. So
I need somebody in the chat to help me out.
You're saying that, okay, in your scenario, people in the north of Alberta, they get the odd weekends, and people in the south get the odd
even. Yeah, whichever.
Yeah, vice versa. So anybody that works like a split shift, or anybody that has their kid every other weekend or things like that, if you don't live in the right hemisphere of Alberta, then screw you.
No, you can go to a non-sanctioned event. But not a sanction.
No.
And that's our 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That was 10 minutes with Daryl and Jeremy on
did we,
tournament saturation.
Did we come to any conclusions?
Did we satiate your need for tournament saturation, Tom?
I got to push my button twice, so I mean that tells you something.
Yeah, it does. And that's the kind of conversations you want to see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we probably could go into that one for another 10 minutes. But let's go to the quiz.
Let's move on to the quiz.
Okay.
Everybody loves a quiz. Let me just see if I can bring up the thing right there.
Oh, to put it up on the screen.
Yeah. So, this isn't going to work because I have to bring the timer up on the screen. Well, I'll bring it up to start with.
Yes, and I'll have them in front of me here.
So what we'll do is we'll explain. Why did that move? We'll explain to everybody
how the quiz works. So
How
last
the
time
quiz
what we
works.
did was we did a quiz where I came up with 10 questions. So we've done a lot of different types of quizzes because we enjoy it. We like testing our disc golf knowledge and just having some fun. I had some riddle questions, I think 20 of them, and we didn't really put a timer on it. You just took your time to answer them and it really dragged out.
Mhm.
But we had a lot of fun because you were questioning my riddle abilities and whether I even knew who you were as a person if
Yeah.
to guess these things. We always go back to the sore spot that you didn't like the fact that I used cheetah as the answer as a synonym for cheater.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we did with our last one is we put a time we didn't put a time limit on it, but we rewarded it by the amount of time it took. So we took
You were
20
trying to do it the
discs.
fastest you could. Yeah.
Yeah, we took 20 discs, put them in a grid. It was almost like a No Time to Google, which is a show that's on
Yeah.
an Edmonton radio station. So what happens is there's 20 discs listed, so I know the answers, but only 10 of them are actual answers to the questions.
Right.
You rapid fire the questions, I start guessing them, we stop the clock when I get them all right.
Correct.
So what we were going to do is you did it, and I want to say we'd have to go back and check the tape, but I think it was about 3 minutes and 50 seconds is what it felt, somewhere between 3:50 and 4, but
Okay.
it wasn't 4 minutes. So we're going to get a timer going, which you've got, and then you're going to start asking questions and I'm going to give answers. And let's see if I get them right.
Yeah. And what I'm actually doing, I didn't do it all earlier, is that I actually wrote out 20 questions with 20 discs.
So
So we actually only need 10.
Yeah.
And 10 red herrings almost.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete 10 of my questions so I don't.
You've got them saved somewhere else because you don't want to lose those questions. What if you want to use them another time
All right. Well, then I'll just do the top 10, but I don't know
if they're in that?
if that'll make any sense. But
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is let the listeners know, if anybody's listening to this one, what those 20 discs are that you've provided. So you have Thunderbird, Thief, Explorer,
okay, hang on.
Taniwa, Barbarian, Tasmanian Devil, Lots, Troll, Pond Skater, Shooting Star, Ozone, TL, Kraken, Maximus, Cicada, XL, Troll again. So you get Troll in there twice. Paladin, Magellan, and Thief twice. Thief's in there twice. So maybe that's how you end up. Remember you said you had 25 discs?
Yeah.
So
Okay, we'll take out.
Troll, the
See,
second
I
Troll.
live up to Team Shambles.
How about I put Hex in here because I know that it's likely not.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And I just deleted one, so I actually had 21.
Mm-hmm. So you have 2 Trolls and 2 Thieves as
Um,
we do this audible.
Yep. Just talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And also get ready to compete with us here. And you can see with our little screen that's showing, you can see a little bit more about our outline a little above and below there. So you get a chance
Okay.
to see. Okay, what am I changing here?
Well, if you change it,
Well, it doesn't matter because
well,
you could
'cause
ask that question or you could not ask that question.
you're
So
right. Can you put soda in
Yep.
as that one?
because okay, and then I need one more for Thief. Put sodas in there for the second Troll.
Um,
And then you can decide whether you ask that question or not.
yeah. I don't know which one I'm missing because I'm seeing all the ones that.
Give me a name.
Let me scroll through and let's say. Okay, put down mana.
Okay, yeah, that one's not there.
Yeah.
Is it 2N?
No, 1N.
1N. Okay. All right, perfect. So get the timer up on the board.
Okay.
Now that everybody has seen the ones, if you take a quick screenshot of the screen that you're looking at there, you can play along and see how fast you can answer these questions and see if you can beat me on that.
Mm-hmm.
But looks like you've got a good selection of discs here. I see some I recognize. I see some I've never seen before in my life.
Yeah, and I did it the same way that you did as
You
I went
picked a
to
random
try discs.
selection.
I picked a selection, maybe mid-range or 7-speed or 5 or whatever the category was.
Yep.
And then just scrolled through and see all these discs that I never knew that was a company, let alone a disc. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I don't know how well this is going to go because I didn't quite understand the setup that you had, so let's try.
All right. He's already qualifying.
Okay.
And in 5, 4, 3, 2,
Hang on, I got to get on the right screen. Here we go.
1, begin.
This one is kind of cool for a Caucasian.
Ooh. 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 We got to look here. What? I don't know. Shooting star, go.
Responsible for embalming, dressing, and casketing the deceased.
That would be a Taniwa. Are you telling me
No.
if I'm right? Okay.
No. This bird-like spirit has control over the weather.
This bird-like spirit has control over the weather. That would be the Thunderbird.
Correct.
Okay.
This 1981 movie stars James Caan, a person who longs to leave his dangerous race and settle down with his dangerous job and settle down with his girlfriend Jessie.
This movie, Thief.
Correct.
All right.
This WWF wrestler was a tag team partner with the Warlord as part of the Powers of Pain.
Powers of Pain. Powers of Pain was Barbarian?
Correct.
All right.
Chris Columbus, James Cook, Ferdinand.
Magellan.
No.
Oh, okay. Go
First
next one.
to successfully circumnavigate the globe, born 1480 in Portugal.
Magellan.
Died. Yes. This character is a holy knight, crusading.
Paladin.
Yes. According to mythology, this supernatural being, often residing in
Kraken.
deep waters. No.
Oh, come on.
It is characterized by its stocky and muscular build, black fur, pungent odor, extremely loud and disturbing screech, keen sense
Tasmanian
of smell.
devil.
Yes. If you had more than one, you could say you have.
Lots.
Yes. Responsible for embalming, dressing, and casketing the deceased. Excuse me.
I said I thought I said the Tanawa last time, so I won't say that. I will say the cicada.
Sorry, I just realized that answer is not on there.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Pick another question.
This one is kind of cool for a Caucasian. I apologize.
A soda?
Why is that one not on there either?
Oh, it's okay. Got to get to another question.
I'm sorry.
2 more questions. I'm having trouble.
Sorry. According to the internet, you shouldn't feed these.
You shouldn't feed.
I'm sure I wrote it down.
You shouldn't feed. It's about the birds, but you shouldn't feed the Taniwas?
No.
Okay.
This one is kind of cool for a Caucasian.
That's still on here? That answer is on
Oh,
it?
no, I'm sorry. It's my fault.
Team
Shouldn't-
Shambles.
Chris
Here we go.
Columbus, James Cook,
I did that.
Ferdinand.
Oh. Christopher Columbus, James Cook, explorers.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Perfect.
According to mythology, this supernatural being often resided in deep waters and can either be a protector or a dangerous creature.
I had said the Kraken and you said no, so I'm going to have to say the Tanawa?
Yes.
Okay.
According to the internet, you shouldn't feed these.
Oh, the trolls.
Yes.
You didn't say internet.
I did?
Oh, I didn't hear internet the
Okay.
other time. So, oh, you know what I thought? It was internet. I was thinking like it was more the internet saying you shouldn't feed something, not
I know.
when
That's
they're on
why
there. That was a good
that
one.
was the ambiguous.
Oh,
I'm going to say you did it because I messed up. And I'm sorry. That's why I had to try and find 2 extras because it was the first 2 on the list. So I don't know why they weren't written down.
Mm. Well, it was, you know what? The thing is that what I can always count on you for is to add some excitement to it. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to have to do better than that, but we'll have to try
Okay,
that
so
one again.
let me just go back and make sure I actually gave you 10.
Okay. Well, I got 10. I've got them
So-
selected here.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I went
okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, perfect. I
Yeah.
did ask you 10 questions then.
You asked me about 12, I think, or 13.
So I gave you extra.
That's right.
There you go.
That's good. You did good with those ones because I think what it was there was a couple, like when I guessed the Kraken there,
Yeah.
that one there, that I thought that would have been.
See,
So you did good on doubling up because I tried to guess early.
and I said that to you was when you did it last week, there
Mhm.
was and you said it was just by accident. There was actual questions that could have had 2 answers.
Right.
You know, depending on how you interpreted the question. So that was my mind. That was my thought process going into it. Was looking at a disc or a name of a disc
And trying
and
to find
thinking,
multiples.
yeah, So
Well, you did good because the Chris Columbus, Franz Ferdinand, I jumped to Magellan. I thought you were just saying names of,
exactly,
and then
but
it
I
ended
also
up
had
being
the
the
Explorer.
Explorer.
Yeah,
So your clues were really good.
and then
The Tanawa, though, how did you figure that out? I've never heard of that before.
so a Tanawa is an RPM
Okay.
disc. And when I Googled it to find out what because RPM discs are normally named after birds,
Okay, right.
national birds of New Zealand. That's what
Yeah.
they're normally named after. So I wanted to see what type of bird this was and what clue I could give you, and it was actually a mythical creature. And then I seen one that was the Kraken, and I'm like, well, that's two
another
possible
mythical
mythical
creature.
creatures.
What do you mean the Kraken's real?
Yeah, exactly.
Just so deep down, we've never seen it too often.
Exactly. Just
Yeah,
like
what do you think the Bermuda
Ogopogo.
Triangle is? It's
Yeah.
the Kraken. Oh, the Ogopogo. You're going to
That's
see the
definitely real.
Ogopogo. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And then the Tasmanian devil and the troll. I was thinking maybe, and then I figured the thief was just a random. Have you seen that film?
No,
Well, that was just a random guess.
No, it was a random guess, but based on the ones here, like I like to think of myself as a movie person. Like I've
Yeah.
watched a lot, or I'm a pop culture type guy.
Yeah.
And when I looked at it, I'm like, maybe Shooting Star, I don't know, but Thief is what I thought.
Yeah.
And when you said James Caan, he tends to play bad guys and
Right.
and that type of thing, and
Yeah.
so Thief kind of fit with that. And then same thing with the Barbarian. When you started to talk about wrestlers, I was like, oh, which ones of these are wrestlers?
Well,
I'm like, Maximus could be a wrestler.
Yeah.
And I was like, XL maybe could have been a wrestler.
So I guess I'll tell you because I don't want to save those ones. I'll come up with new ones later.
Yeah.
But the Paladin and Barbarian, those questions were meant to be reversed.
Oh.
So I would have meant to have asked you. No, sorry, my mistake. Paladin and Barbarian were meant to be similar D&D characters. Like you can be a
Right. Yes,
barbarian, you
they
can be a
are.
paladin, that sort of thing. So that was a question that I was hoping that you would be like, I don't know which one.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the questions that I had that wasn't on there, the deceased embalming one, the
Yes.
answer was Undertaker.
Oh.
So then when I
that's
said the
another
WWF,
wrestler.
that's where that was meant to cross over.
Well, you know
So
what?
if I had the Undertaker, I'm like, why is he not getting this? This is easy. And I looked and I'm like, oh, Undertaker's not on there. This one is kind of cool for a Caucasian. The answer is a Discord a pretty fly.
Oh yes, that would have been it.
You
Yeah.
would have gotten that one off that.
You know what was funny? I think what it was is when we started up, remember you had some extra in these blank rows?
Yeah.
Pretty Fly was in there. So I think that's where those answers ended up, was they
And it
were
was
somehow
because I
you got to
had two.
double up.
Yeah, I doubled up and I missed two off. That's where they came from.
Well, we won't be going on live TV. Well, I guess we are kind of on live TV now, but we won't be syndicated yet.
No.
We got to work on our quiz game a bit.
I like this format, and it's good because now I understand it a bit more, that you had 10 questions with 20 answers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I looked at it, was preparing it, and actually you kind of threw me off because I was preparing it last week, and you're like, well, we don't need it this week because this week's fantasy episode. Save it for next week. But I do like that.
So we could do that one again.
We can do that one again.
Okay.
But I also like the one that we did previously with the the naming of the disc, the one where if you waved this red thing to a bull.
Okay, the more riddle like one.
Yeah.
I think that one, what we have to do is we have to dial in our what do they call it? The $20,000 pyramid, or what were those games, if you remember, where it was all about being on the same wavelength? So it wasn't, I'm not really trying to stump you. I'm trying to give you one that you can get, but you have to think about, right? Like, there's something about knowing the person that you're playing with those types of games.
But I mean, like the New York Times connections and whatever else, they're not targeting it directly at one type of person or people. It's just you have to figure out what the connection is. So maybe you're not on my wavelength of this Simpsons character, whatever that Homer, the Greek poet, whatever.
The nuclear,
Simpsons character who's a Greek poet. It's one of those things that either you know who Homer is and link it together, or you don't.
Well, and I'll tell you, when you talk about those connections puzzles, when they do them, sometimes like today's one, and I'm going to ruin this, but nobody is going to be too worried, I don't think, about it. They've played it by now. But one of the ones, it was straw, rasp, blue, and what was the other one? Straw, rasp, blue, pick another thing. But it was like berry, strawberry, raspberry, blueberry.
Right.
But that was wrong. That was like your red herring.
Oh, okay.
But it was so right there in your face
Yeah.
that they do that, and those are the
Well,
ones that are the toughest.
Yeah, because sometimes there's like 3 things that can be together, and you're
What's the
searching for
fourth
that
one?
fourth,
Mhm.
and you can't find it. And then when you find another connection, you're like, 2 of them have disappeared, and you're like, oh, okay, well then obviously those 3 don't go together.
Yeah,
But when you have 4 that can definitely go together,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'm gonna see. It looks like in the New York Times puzzles for connections, they
Yeah.
just have people. They always note the person's name who submitted them.
right,
I'm thinking with the one I created, or maybe I'll create another one. I might just submit it. It's disc golf discs. Send it in.
yeah,
And I think right before we end and before we're done with this one,
yeah.
this episode, I want to ask, and just we got to touch on it real quick. The Brad Pitt, Jimmy Kimmel, or not Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon.
Did you see it?
I did, and everybody's reposting it saying, oh, they're highlighting disc golf. But the first thing Brad Pitt says is, are we gonna go play frisbee golf?
Yes.
And
And they have ultimate disc.
yeah, exactly. I'm like,
And
really?
it's
Is this really doing us any favors?
and they're wearing tie-dye clothes. I guess what they say was it any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, there's no news
No
is good
such thing
news,
as bad
no,
press.
no, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, but so that was good. It was entertaining to watch, but yeah, it wasn't a real take because I'm sure all of us were like, you don't throw a disc that way.
Yeah, exactly.
That thing wouldn't have went that far.
Yeah,
How are you going to get it to sandwich between two people when they're kissing and then continue to fly?
yeah,
But the one thing that I did notice though, Daryl, with that, so you got Jimmy, you've got Brad, they're throwing these discs, they're going around and stuff like that, and they're
Mhm.
getting all of those things. But the one thing, no matter what they did in all of those funny different ways, the last thing they did, they had that orange cage with the chains.
yeah.
They went in there, they were always in one place, weren't they?
Were they?
Yeah, they kind
Yeah.
of were always around the basket.
Thanks, everybody.